So we've got Gary Pidd with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about architectural technology and the relationship between the diploma and the practice of architecture. So thank you very much for your time, Gary. You take on students. What do you expect, and how do you expect those students to develop in the next 5 years when you've got them?
We've taken on several students from the local EIT, or whatever you're calling it these days. Um, we've always been really happy and they've stayed with us. Like one student's been with us for, I think he was one of the second intakes there, so it must be, 13, 14 years ago. And then we've had another one who was been here for 5 years, 6 years. The standard of the students out of the local EIT is very high, and that's our first port of call where we want some new staff is to talk to the EIT. Getting them on board, they lack experience. That's the main thing. They've got a good grounding in I think ArchiCAD and Revit. We use ArchiCAD, and then so the first initial thing is to see what their capabilities are, and to give them a chance to run with those. So we'll start off on a small project. We have two staff that are very, very capable. Luke's been with me for 20 years, 22 years, and Caleb's been with me for 15 years, I think. And my office manager's been with us for 15 years, so I don't have a huge staff turnover. But they both, one of them is technically brilliant with all the plumbing and drainage, detailing, electrical construction. His bent is not design. If you give him a design, he'll go round and round in circles, but you give him a technical problem and he'll nail it to the wall. And then there are another staff member who's technically very good, but also has a very good design bent. And he came from the IT, and it was a matter of just giving him a chance to stand on his own 2 feet and see what he could do. And as I've said to you before, we had a meeting in the staff room, and I said to them, have I ever told you you did something wrong? And they all said no. I said, but I will say, have you thought about? And it's a matter of giving all of my staff an environment where they can feel valued and their contributions are valued, that they will open up and think and put their ideas forward. And it's the same on a construction site. You'll have you want to have the builders to feel that their input is valued. So that then if something comes up and there's a problem, you want them to come to you and say, there's a problem with this. I think we should do this. And I will evaluate it, or someone of the staff will evaluate and say, yes, we think that's a good idea, or no, that's not a good idea because of this and this and this. Not shutting people down, not just being dictatorial, just allowing people to come through. And it's the same with my staff. I'll give them, start with something sketched, and yes, we sketch stuff out, and I'll sit down and rough it out and say, right, but not too resolved. I want them to get into it and say, okay, I want them to start evaluating it and then try and resolve it themselves. And yes, and then that'll show me and give them the chance to expand on it. And yes, one of our staff is absolutely awesome at design, really, really good. And the other one is the technocrat, and then our other architect, she's covers the field. She's good at design, she's good at project management. Her maths is absolutely brilliant. The contracts is brilliant. So we're lucky in that we've got we can cover off on all sorts of things within our office. It's also our office is also open plan, but very open to, if you've got a problem, you say, look, how do I do this? And everybody will get up and go and stand behind a computer and I think we should do this and I think we should do that and I think we should do that. And then you take out of it the best of all of that. Same with if you have a problem on a construction site. And I say to all the builders we work with, if there's something goes wrong, tell us and let us all sit down and work it out. And you'll be amazed that when you sit around the table and it's not I'm the boss, it's okay, we've got a problem, how do we fix this? What can come out of the woodwork? Remember we had a huge job for the Ministry of Education where they had 550 structurally unsound classrooms. We had to give them some temporary solutions, and we had to do it in 6 months. So we got in, I think we got in Mackessy's, Gemco, Simpkins, Atkins, and one other builder, and we sat around the table and we brainstormed the solutions. One of the builders got kicked to the curb because he just wouldn't play ball with everybody else. So he went out. So we sorted out a solution with the engineers, came to the solution. We put it out to all of the builders for pricing. They all put their pricing in. We averaged the price out between the highest and the lowest and said, right, here's the highest, here's the lowest, here's the average. This is what you're going to be paid. Are you happy with this? We fixed 550 classrooms in 6 months. And then every couple of weeks we'd have a meeting with the actual builders doing it, the foreman, and we'd sit down and say, is there a better way to do this? And yeah, sure. So by the end of it, instead something was going to take a week, 5 days, they were doing it in 2.5, 3 days for the same price. That's the same.
Did you then send that solution to all the other builders as well, or is it just that one builder that got it?
Everybody else got that new solution. And so everybody benefited because the price didn't change. They just were able to do it quicker and more efficiently.
Well, they made a little bit more profit.
Yeah, more profit.
So back to how you get the students and you gradually build them up, because you've had some for a long time, so you must be getting better at seeing which ones you want to use. I mean, how do you choose if you went to EIT and you saw a whole bunch of students? How do you choose the one that you think is going to work in your office?
We've seen, and we're always happy to see your students. It's good, but don't give me any psychometric test. You sit me down with 5 of your students, and I'll tell you at the end of that hour which 3 are going to graduate.
But how do you? But coming back to, if you had to pick one for your office, how would you pick that one for your office?
It's a feel. It's a feel. It's how they present themselves. It's how they communicate. It's how interested they are. It's how enthusiastic. And I say to all of your students who come in here, I said, this is a good course. You're going to get out of it whatever you put in. The more you put in, the better you're going to do. That's number one. Make the most of it. Don't piss around. Make the most of it that you can. And it's watching how many of them take that on board or don't take that on board that gives me the clue. And I've been to some of your presentations and just watching. I went to one of the presentations about 6 years ago, and one of your students was so helpful with everybody else. He was setting up their machines. He was running around getting their stuff ready to go for their presentation. He did his presentation, and then he went off and helped somebody else. I thought, yeah, I'm going to have you. You're a team player. You're happy to help anybody. And that's the easiest way is for the team to work as a team. And that's where I'm lucky is nobody in this office has an ego. They're all very, very low key. But that's great because they all will sit around the table and they'll all discuss whatever it is that we have. We look at all the new technology. I don't make the ultimate decision. We all make the ultimate decision of whether we're going to go down that path. I might head it in that direction, and I'll drag them along. But if the answer is no, we don't need that, no, that's a waste of time. The guys have been trialing keynotes and got stuck into that, and they're raving about that. So we're down that path now, not from my point of view, but from their point of view. So they feel they have ownership, they feel that they're valued, and it makes the office environment work a lot better. I want my staff to come to work and want to come to work. Not, I remember going to one of my previous things, and I felt sick every time I went into work because I knew I was going to be hammered for this and hammered for that, hammered for this, and this is how we've always done things, and this is how we're always going to do things. And I lasted about a year and a half there. It doesn't do anything to sit on top of people. It's better to encourage them and give them the ability to run with whatever they're interested in. And if one of my staff says, we need to have a look at this, right, okay, you go and find out about it and let me know. And that's what we did with the AI. One of them was looking at it and says, I think we'd have a crack at this. And then the other thing is that basically they're now leading. I keep an eye on it, but they're now leading where we go and how we do things. And it's a matter of doing things more efficiently, better for the builders. We've been using BIMX now for quite a while. That's great. We sent a sample into the council, try to get the council to start looking at using BIMX model for their evaluation. Yeah, that went down like a lead balloon. So yeah, it's just the environment and how you facilitate their development. And I don't know what makes me do it any differently to anybody else.
So facilitate their development. What a great phrase, because that gives you the ability to choose. I mean, if we go back to how you choose somebody, lots of other people have said that attitude is really important. And I think that I think that's what you're saying, helpful, team player, how they respond to the situation. It's their attitude, how passionate they are about it. Again, it comes back to their attitude for architecture. And one of the phrases I've heard many years ago was that skills can be taught, attitude can't. And with the right attitude, you can teach the skills that they need at any time. But I think that the facilitating of the development of your staff is in a lot of ways similar to your idea that you're a facilitator with the client. That is, that you're bringing the client's ideas through, so you're not, as you said, it's not about ego, it's about getting the best result for the job you're trying to do. I mean, if you looked at the students that you've had and had an opportunity to say what skills we're missing, is there any skills that we're not teaching that we should be teaching?
Good question, and my initial answer would be no. You give them such a broad range of experiences with both ArchiCAD and Revit and construction and detailing. No, that's why we keep looking back towards the students. They've got a good grounding, and I reckon anybody talks to me about the course, I think you've got a couple of students there at the moment that we take. We always say yes to work ex students from high schools, and so a lot of the work ex, if they've got any, they'll say to them, well, do you want to get into the design, or you either can go to university or you can go to the EIT. So yeah, quite a few work ex students come from Napier Boys, Napier Girls, sometimes Taradale High School, just to get them, give them an idea of what it's actually like that we do. And the other thing that we've had as office is work-life balance. I think we've only worked overtime once in the last 20, 30 years, and that was we had a clash with our programs. Work is a means to an end. It's not the be-all and end-all. We have staff with little children, and when they're sick and mum's at home and they're all sick, they're not going to concentrate. So you go home, you sort out your family. When you're happy, you come back, and then they feel valued that I can I can relax, I can get things sorted out. Then when I'm back in work, then they dive straight into it and they feel, this is, a good place to be.
That's important that they feel that they love coming to work. I too have worked in places where I didn't enjoy going to work, and it's not nice. You're always looking for how to get out. Your work suffers. Emotionally you suffer. So what about we've talked about AI as the future and its ability to visualize stuff. I've seen people use the AI visualization for visualizing once you've modeled the building, using it to change light fixtures or flooring or that kind of stuff. That is the quick ability to change stuff that you haven't fixed yet, but leaving the form of the building the way it is. But I've also seen people do almost no form to the building and asking the AI to actually model the entire building for them, which looks impressive, but it worries me that that there are things that they should know that it doesn't do.
Yeah, they do.
But coming back to the computers, I think that the AI is a little bit like you said about the computer, and that is that the AI is a tool. You make the AI do what you want, not change your design according to the AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any thoughts for the future? Like we interviewed an architect, and he had some strong thoughts about the way we're designing our cities, what we need to do with our cities. I didn't know whether you had any ideas for that.
We've just been reviewing the latest City Council district plan because there's a mission is doing some development over in around the Mission Vineyards, and we've had a good look at the latest City Council development plan, and I think they're being sensible. We need to condense some of the housing in certain areas, and they've sort of radiated it out from the town centres, the dense, medium density, then less dense. We also need to find a way of making building more economic. It's just too. We're doing houses at the moment. They're $10,000 a square metre. It's insane. Whereas this little prefabricated thing that we're doing at the moment, we can do that for $3,500 a square metre, and it'll have blooming R7 in the roof, and it'll have bloody R5 in the walls and about R3. It's insulated inside out. It's also can be carbon neutral, and I think there's definitely something needs to be done to get the costs down, so that more people can afford to get a more. If you want to work for the environment, make the buildings more efficient, but also make them more economic. There's just nothing around there that's doing that at the moment, which is a real shame. So that's where we're sort of trying to head in that way. Our office we have solar panels. Our office generates twice as much electricity as we actually use, and that just goes back into the grid. I couldn't believe how efficient that is. What else? Oh yeah, and the office design and set out is really important. You talked to me about the morning tea. Our staff room is a designated space, which is a completely different colour, completely different flooring, completely different environment to the office. So when you come out here, you get out of work mode, you get into relax mode. This is a space to chill, talk, give yourself a rest, and then when you go back to the office, you're back into the environment. And during COVID, none of us liked working at home. It's the ability to walk into the office, get into work mode, walk out of the office, get out of work mode. And I think that's just as important to your sanity, really.
So why is it important to have the different colors, the different floor texture, and to not talk about projects during that morning tea time?
give your brain a chance to relax and to go somewhere else. And we do the stuff quiz, we discuss all sorts of things. Sometimes we'll talk about some work things, but we usually come in here deliberately and sit down and discuss the work things. But during morning tea, afternoon tea, it's strictly social. No phones, none of that. It's interesting. All my staff are quite young, but none of them sit in here on their phones. They all interact, and
So do you call that team building?
yeah, absolutely. Every morning we team build. Every morning. They may not be aware of it, but every morning we team build, and that's
Again, facilitating the development of your team.
yes. And they learn things about the world and about so we can get onto all sorts of things. But the young ones learn about the other one's children, having children, what it means, about finances, about governments, against politics, about the environment, all those sorts of things we can talk about. It helps them develop as a human. So it's not just architecture, it's about just life in general and giving them an environment where they can actually learn something, and not the right way or the wrong way, but just that there are things out there over and above what they normally know about.
Interesting. Yeah, so we started talking about architecture and we've ended up talking about being a human.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it is. That whole thing, you're creating, and I said to you tell me what you want a space to feel like, and we did a church, we did a Catholic church, which was really interesting because I'm not in any way Catholic. We were up against two other firms in Hawke's Bay to win the job. They went along with their token Catholic, and they didn't get the job. We went along and said, we're not Catholic, we're not religious, but we're an open book. We're just here to give you what you want. And they said to us, their brief was, we wanted church with feeling, but we want it to be a comfortable church. We don't want lots of exposed to. We want it to be like a nice home, but a religious home. So we did this. It's a lovely little church called St Thomas More, and it's very close. It's very soft, but they wanted something with feeling. So it's got feeling, but it's got it in a very subtle way. And I said to the father running it, I said, we've done a female church. It's got no hard edges. It's got soft corners. It's very delicate. There's no kneelers, but you know you're in a church. Yeah. So yeah, how do you do that? And the interesting thing was we were designing the altar, and the priest said, "Where are you going to put the altar stone?" And I said, and then the whole committee said, "What's an altar stone?" And so we went to the old church, and he pulled out a relic from under the altar, which comes from Vatican City. And I said to them, why do you hide it? And they said, because that's what we've always done. Well, can I put it in a glass drawer at the back of the altar so everybody can see it? And I said, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And yeah, that's what we did with it.
Thank you very much for your time, Gary. It's been wonderful. I've learned quite a lot. And I hope our listeners really enjoy hearing your thoughts on architectural technology.
Thank you very much for the interview, Jonathan. And thank you very much for all you do with your students too. It is appreciated.